Welcome to another episode of Emo Kids Podcast. I feel like audience clapping. You should get some of those like fake audio samples. Today we're going to be diving more into touring, but more on the touring logistics side of things. So I imagine there's not going to be a lot of talking from a lot of these guys. It's going to be mostly Sam, because Sam has taken on the role of our touring manager.
I've done that.
So, it's interesting. I never really knew.
Overworked and underpaid.
Right. I never really knew before this, really, like the exact roles of a tour manager. And I was just like, Sam, you're doing this now. I do like a lot of the other managing type of stuff for the band, but Sam really loves logistics and all that shit. And he's like maybe the most traveled in the band. This guy does a lot of traveling just for fun and stuff, so maybe it's just kind of an extension of his passion for that, but super good with logistics. But Sam, what does a tour manager do?
Gets timing right with everything that we need to do. So I guess I'll take this next show just because it's fresh in my mind. The next shows that we're going to be playing this week in Pennsylvania and New York, so have to figure out when exactly we're going to leave, and know we all kind of have to utilize Southwest because we're musicians. We're taking everything with us, and Southwest allows us to have, so like monetarily, unless we can just find some crazy cheap flights, has to be on Southwest. So you got to find out what time. Some of them are more expensive than the others.
So Sam has a good way of like over explaining shit right now. What a tour manager is doing is managing logistics.
Yeah.
This guy just goes into fucking. No. This is fucking brilliant. I just want everyone to know that Sam just likes to just over explain.
I do, yeah.
So Sam handles all of the touring logistics. That's what a tour manager does. So he's going into like actually what those things are. But again, it's all the planning that goes into before the tour, making sure you have all the right information while you're on tour, and just kind of again just ironing out all those details to make sure we're all prepared to do this tour.
He's my Sam translator.
So this is now if you've watched like some of these episodes, I kind of jump in. I'm like, well, this is the translation, the simple translation of
I saw Kevin looking back too, just with that look. He's just like, when's he gonna stop?
So yeah, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, it's okay.
But he's the one that I call when I have questions. I'm like, wait, where are we flying out of? What time is it?
So I'm going to ask you very specific questions about kind of all the things that you're already jumping into.
Try to answer them as simply as possible.
Just answer the question.
Right, okay.
So when you go through your cost breakdown, for instance, so when we're planning a tour, like I'm like, hey, Sam, we're doing a tour. Let's take the next one, for example, right? We have a show in Lancaster, and this I guess this episode's going to come out after we're done with that, but we're going to go to Lancaster, we're going to Syracuse, New York, and then we're playing in Bethlehem. So when I'm like, hey, Sam, here's the tour dates, like what is your next move? Like what do you do at that point?
Well, this is going to be a 10-parter. No. Okay.
Kind of walk us through step by step.
I look at the guarantee for the shows and then find out how much we're going to make or save on flights.
So for instance, now you're answering too short.
Shit.
So dial it back right in the middle here. So the very first thing is you're going to look for, really we're trying to obviously be as efficient with budget as possible. Obviously outside of the guarantees we make, obviously the hopeful profit that we make on these shows, regardless, we're trying to find the most efficient and cost efficient as well.
I would say the first thing that I do is look at what flights to that destination are available, and then I tell the other guys immediately so that way they can arrange work and family stuff. They'd say, hey, we're aiming to leave at this date on this time and come back at this date and this time. Is that okay with everybody?
Right. So for instance, if we have a Thursday show, right, especially if it's on the East Coast, we have to account for the time change, but also like flight times, right? So sometimes, especially with East Coast shows, we can't fly out on a Thursday because automatically when we land, we already lose the 3 hours. So we're running up against now load-in times and things like that. So
and in often cases, you can't fly direct either. So you have to accommodate. You have to account for like a stop in Midway to get to Philadelphia.
So here's all the things that Sam looks at in these flights. So it's like, okay, what time do we need to get there? And it's almost like a work back schedule, right? We got to get there by this time. We got to get the van, we got to check in, whatever it is, and then the work back schedule. Okay, when do we have to now land here, right? Then it's like, when do we have to take off here, and then he'll compare the flights, right? So kind of walk us through like some of the options that you'll go through for flights. I mean, obviously you kind of talked about this, which is one of the future questions, but we'll cut to the chase right now. Why we typically use Southwest, and why we would deviate from Southwest.
So we use Southwest because of their gear policy, and they're cool with bringing instruments on the plane. But when I kind of plan things with Southwest, I then go to Google Maps and compare that with what else is available as far as flights.
Google Maps?
Google Flights. Google Flights, I'm sorry.
I put Sam on the spot. He's falling apart.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Google Flights, and then this won't take long. But on a side note, when I'm looking at Google Flights, I have to count for the airline's bag policy. So typically, it's $30 for the first check bag, $40 for the second. We're taking 2. So with round trip, I see those ticket numbers, and I have to add $140 for each person, and then compare that to Southwest and see what works.
Right, so the 140 is in regards to baggage.
70 each way.
Baggage fees, right?
Baggage fees, yeah.
Yeah, so we typically, the 2 check bags, we definitely max out as much as we can. I mean, can you walk us through right now where we're at and how many bags we check, and what is each of those bags?
As of our previous flight shows, we are at 12 because there have been 6 of us that have been traveling, so the 5 of us plus Josh.
Let's not even talk about Josh. Obviously, like Josh comes with us, but his two gear bags are taken care of, right? So his check bag is his table, which is much better than any table the venues usually provide him. Yeah. We've learned. And then his second bag is like his gear, and I think does he carry on his clothing? I can't remember, or is it part of that gear?
Part of that gear.
Yeah, so he's taken care of with his stuff, and he's obviously a part of the group. I didn't mean to exclude him, but I'm talking about as far as the rest of the band. Like, what do we usually then check?
Clothing, cymbals, Jason's auxiliary drum stuff.
Mm-hmm. What's in the auxiliary drum stuff? What's in there?
Snare drum, kick pedals, sticks.
Do you put your clothing in there too?
I use some clothing to actually like pack it in.
Oh, pat it?
Yeah, to kind of pat it so it's not banging around.
Okay.
Because they're throwing it around back there.
Right. Okay, so cymbals, his auxiliary stuff with what he just mentioned. What else?
So then his clothes. I have a great big pink suitcase that carries Big Pink carries my guitar pedal, my wireless system for my ears and my guitar, and all the cabling that's necessary, and backups of everything. So it carries tools as well, which have come in handy, and like anything that is gonna fix what can go wrong goes in that bag, and that weighs exactly 50 pounds.
Does that cable bag does it actually fit in there?
It does. Everything fits in there.
I wonder if I could start to do that with my bag. Do you think my bag would fit in like a case?
Steal my idea.
No, because that thing's a pain in the ass. I usually, because I carry that bag on. Oh. It's a pain in the ass.
Mix it with it. So what we're starting to do is we all have been typically bringing our own checked bags as clothing, and that's been taking one. So the new plan is we throw all of our clothes in a backpack, and we put like 3 or 4 of those clothing backpacks in one big suitcase to free up more space. Because the whole idea is maximize the amount of shit that we can sell with the stuff that we have to take. And we're starting to sell a lot more merch at these shows. The last thing we want to do is run out of merch when there's 500 people who've already bought pre-sales on our last day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bethlehem.
Okay, so we're at 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
What's number 4?
4 would be the closed bag, like the last one that I took on. 4 would be like the closed bag, and for instance, it was Steve and I's closed bag plus Steve's pedal.
So then we have 2. Well, now we have 3 merch bags, right?
So, the last one
so what does that put us at now? 7?
7, yeah.
Okay, so what else are we checking at that point?
Well,
I had been checking.
Did we count as cymbals?
Yeah, we already counted.
We're checking the base.
We checked the base. That's number 8.
It's oversized.
Base is too big.
I think I have been checking my own clothing bag, which may change again.
Son of a bitch.
Based on what we're talking. I mean, because I know some other people are carrying on their luggage bags, right? I'm carrying on my whole microphone setup, right? Which again is a pain in the ass. So I might try to switch that around. Mm-hmm. So where are we at then with that? Now we have our wireless in-ear monitor system.
That's right. So we have our new in-ear monitor system.
That's going to be its own thing.
So that'll be its own. We thank you to Kevin for helping with that, slaving away.
But now you have my bags.
But now we have his bags, exactly. So Kevin will be traveling with us more. Thank God. And so So now we'll have
we'll have now two extra bags.
Now we'll have 2 extra
check bags for free. So
that's what I'm saying. So we'll have the in-ear system, which was built so that way. Here's one of the problems. I don't know if are we gonna get into like more Southwest policies?
No, this is all the time.
So length plus width plus depth has to be under 62 inches with Southwest Airlines, and that each bag has to be under 50 pounds. Otherwise, you pay a gigantic fee.
It's a juggling match we always do.
We've been able to build and take everything that we need to fit within their specs, so that way they can't say at the gate like, "Hey, no, you're fucked." So
we have a pretty good system now as far as each one of our merch bags weighs the perfect amount. We have like a luggage bag.
We have the $10 Walmart purchase. We have a luggage scale, so we pick it up and we shuffle things around before we even get to the airport, so that way we can just take it. Because like we have had to at airports. On the first time we had to take because we were like 4 pounds over and 4 pounds. We had to shift some weights across like 3 bags. That's the last thing you want to have to do.
Classic.
Yeah.
Especially when there's people behind you.
Oh yeah. And we'll get into this more later, but yeah, there's a lot of other things we kind of do with luggage. So merch wise too, we now have 2 separate merch inventories, you might call it, right? So we have one that we call them the coffins, and we take them just on traveling with like local areas that we take our
any shows that we drive.
Any shows that we drive to, we call our van Beth. By the way, shout out to Beth. We have coffins we keep in the driving shows. And then we have bags, luggage bags that we just load full of merch that are always now set to go. So we have 2 completely separate inventories, and the reason for that is we did at one point like shift inventories back and forth, and it just took so much time. And right now we use Square. We might change that, Jason, but the inventory management and all that stuff we'll go into at a separate time. But it was such a pain in the ass and took way too much time. So we have 2 completely separate inventories full of stuff that are just ready to go when we travel.
Yeah.
Jason, are you gonna hook us up with some sweet ass card reader?
Yeah, so Jason does payment processing, so we might go there to.
Jason's the big
I'm working
dog.
on that.
Yeah. Better, man.
All right, so what else? What else are we checking?
Reader. I want the reader that swivels around and says like, "It's just gonna ask you a couple questions."
Are you going to ask for tips?
He wants
So one person can be paying, and you can be ringing up.
He wants to be like a barista.
That's what it's like.
30% right there.
Exactly. Yeah, tip. Just your tips right there.
Mobile order.
Imagine at the merch.
Have a tip thing.
It's gonna ask you a few questions. Starting tip is 22%.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other bags it's just been clothing.
Clothing. All right. So and I'm campaigning here for Jason to get his own drum set, but I think that's a good transition. Where we obviously have the limitations for Southwest and like how much things can weigh and how much the dimensions of the thing that you're carrying can be. But then there's also now things when you fly, guitars are one thing, but drum sets are another, right? So what are the logistics about drum sets? Let's forget about trying to like fly with a drum set at this point. But what are the things we have to worry about now? So we fly. What do we fly with that we don't have on like driving tours?
Well, you mean the opposite? Yeah, the opposite.
What do we not take on flying tours?
We don't take any amps and we don't take any drum set shells except for the snare drum.
Right, and obviously that's for weight issues and for traveling purposes. But why can we do that? What is the gear that we use that at traveling shows that we don't have for the
we all have pedalers that are pedalers. We also have
melting down.
We all have pedals that are amp modelers. So they're basically built to where we use Line 6 products. And so they're basically built to where the pedal synthesizes the sound of it basically turns your guitar sound into what it would sound like with the amp on stage. So when they plug into the house PA, it sounds like pretty much exactly the same as miking an amp. We just don't have an amp there, which saves a lot of time and weight and stress.
And that's kind of weird.
What's that?
It's kind of weird though.
What's weird? The sound?
Having an amp.
Oh yeah. It is definitely something weird. You're not really getting any stage sound from behind you. It's all from like monitors or in-ears, which the more you use in-ears, the less that actually matters. But it's definitely a weird thing at first. And for people that aren't really aware of kind of how things have changed in live performances anyway, So you used to have an amp on stage. You used to have your pedal that would run to the amp. But the only way really to get the sound from or to the audience was you mic the amp. So you'd have to have that amp that gets mic'd and then goes to the thing. So there were other problems that would come from that, right? Some other sounds, you got to EQ certain things specifically when you're micing an amp. But that's eliminated when you just go directly through pedal. So even in shows that we travel to where we do have amps, we're still running our audio directly from the pedal because it's cleaner and it's easier to deal with for the front of house engineers than anything. So really for us, we like to have the sound. I mean, we don't necessarily need amps at any show, really.
But also for the people who are in the front row, they kind of hear a dead stage because they're typically standing below where the speakers are blasting audio.
Yeah, that's totally true.
So what they really hear is they can hear like a lot of like mud behind them, and they hear the drum set in front of them, and that's it when there's no amps on stage.
Yeah, that is true. It definitely it changes the experience for people right in the front row for sure. But then so moving forward, then where were we at? So then we're talking about the drums. So obviously we can't do the same thing with drums. So when we fly, we have to have a drum set somewhere.
We have to rent them. So,
but not all the time. The venues don't always have drum sets available for like a house drum set that they just get to go to. So what do we got? What do we got? So what?
It's kind of bizarre.
I feel like all of them should, but for whatever reason,
basic kit.
For whatever reason, it's not a thing yet. So we have to
rent them.
Figure out how to get a drum set.
So what I do is, a few weeks before the show, I call all the guitar centers in the area, and typically there's only one or two, but I'll call them and reserve a drum kit. So,
which I didn't know they even did that, but apparently some locations do, right?
I didn't know that either until I can't remember what show. I think it was for the Illinois shows. I was just like, well, I'll just try Guitar Center out, and I think actually it might have been our booking agent Pete that told us to go through Guitar Center.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like it was such a common knowledge to do that anyway.
I had no idea. And so I just called and they're like, yeah, we got them. And so we've been using Guitar Center.
Pete also told us about the minivans thing, and I was like, no, what? No, we're fucking doing minivans.
Yeah.
Now Steve fucking loves the minivans.
Do you guys have the 5-mile radios that you use for the minivans?
No, we
should.
want to.
We should.
Next thing
Why didn't we have those?
Why don't we? Well, I don't think we've ever been within 5 miles of each other.
I mean, we have cell phones. Yeah, that's right. We are never fighting. Steve gets lost.
Steve's the worst follower on the planet.
My minivan had an 85-mile-an-hour governor.
Oh, that is true. He had a governor on his.
Well, you shouldn't be going more than 85, dude.
This fool said he was going 90 the whole time.
Come on.
No, I was not going 90 the whole time.
We did carve out
Or
quite a
85.
bit. Like 15 minutes we saved. Like, I don't know how we did it.
Yeah, we did, but like the next time we were following each other, like Steve just turns right for whatever fucking reason, and then he's just like, we don't see him again for another 3 hours.
When was this?
Illinois.
We like the scenic route.
You got lost like twice.
I didn't get lost. We made it.
Oh yeah.
All the gear was loaded already.
Hey, we're here.
Show was played, didn't we? We got paid, right?
It's true. It's true. We stayed in a nice king size suite,
Exactly.
didn't we?
Let's go.
So let's speak more about the drum set thing.
So what you do is you just call in ahead of time. Guitar Center has or doesn't have a kit to rent, and when they do have it, they just reserve it and set out they set out a few days for it, however long we need the thing, and we pick it up and we just have to drop it off at the same one before we head to the next show. So it's pretty simple.
That's the thing that we were talking about right before this episode. Is I'm campaigning to figure out a way we can travel with a drum set, and obviously we're kind of limited to weight and obviously the size and shape. So I think we can have our bass drum put in our tom or toms and fit in there somehow and somehow consolidate. Again, we've kind of talked about different ways of doing this, but I think that's the way to go. The problem is obviously you have hardware too, where like your cymbal stands and things like that. I believe
it's also not going to sound the same.
And Sam thinks it's not going to sound great. He's also worried about how hard Jason hits cymbals that the stands won't withstand the barrage.
Yeah, they're gonna fall over like toothpicks, bro.
I see all of these points, but here's a great example of why actually this next tour, of why I think it's less worth it to try to figure out the logistics involved in trying to rent a drum set than try to carry our own. Again, I think we solved this one time, just like the IEMs, and it's fucking smooth sailing. We're gonna have that thing, like he said, it's gonna be set up. we just travel with it, and then what's it do? We just store it and then wait for the next time it goes out. Same thing with IEM rigs. Now it's like, I mean, it was a huge lift at first. Now it's done, and it's like, why are we doing this the whole time? I feel like it's going to be the same way, but explain now why, what the logistics are for this next trip as an example of getting the drum set and what how we're going to do it, and then what we kind of have to work around.
We're touring in a triangle, so we're flying into Philly, going to Lancaster, which is where we now have the drum set rented, going up to Syracuse, New York, and going down to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is kind of near Philly as well. The problem is the drum set rental is in Lancaster, and there was no Guitar Center that had a drum kit in Bethlehem, which is on the way. So we have to basically drive to Lancaster, Syracuse, now back to Lancaster, and then to Bethlehem which adds another 3 hours to it turns a 3-hour trip into a 6-hour trip.
Yeah. So again, the ideal situation would be to not have to double back, and now we're losing hours going the other place. So again, it's like this is the kind of the logistical thing that we're talking about. In general, the planning that all goes into like the tour manager's role. But this is just one of the kind of the pieces that's like, okay, we're still trying to solve, like, how do we figure this out? And this isn't the first time that it's like, we have to figure out how to get this thing back to like the original rental spot. And the funny thing is too, so we actually, the venue in Bethlehem has a kit for us to use now. So one of the things I talked about before the show is maybe we just go to Bethlehem, either use the house kit or the rental again, because it actually makes more sense for us to complete that triangle, take it to Lancaster, and then go back to Philadelphia for our flight.
But that still adds another 3 hours.
But it's actually less time in one day than it is going to be in because Lancaster.
That's true.
Because Syracuse is way up north. So again, we're talking about this specific case, but that's why I'm pro. Let's figure out a drum set situation because we're not going to have to deal with that sound. Maybe not noticeable to a lot of people. I would say a majority of people. Maybe a musician, especially a drummer, because he's a drummer. But I think it's going to eliminate so much wasted hours, wasted stress, and wasted gas, in my opinion. But that's
you made a good point. There's more room for merch, instead of the drums.
Potentially, but again, if we're all consolidating clothes now into individual things, it's kind of a wash. We still have the same amount.
Here's the other thing, though. If we end up going on a show where we don't or can't take Kevin and Josh for some reason, or Kevin specifically, we're not going to be able to take the drum set.
Well, then we have to figure out logistics at that point. But the thing is, like, again, that's not.
You just have to bring me.
Or we just have to take Kevin all the time.
Or I'm just saying if he can't go. Or
oh no.
Like that.
What if you did a cocktail kit, but we just rented a kick drum wherever we went?
Either way, it eliminates.
It'd be a lot cheaper, and we would get the best of both worlds.
The cost isn't the factor. It's really cheap.
It's the logistics. So either way, we have to go to.
We could, for example, in this case, instead of renting a drum kit for a whole extra day, which we could do and just eat the cost, so that way we don't have to do this extra driving, which we'll eventually have to do at the end anyway. We could say, for example, rent a kick drum in the starting and ending location of our tour.
No, that was the whole.
We can't rent.
That was the whole idea. So I was going to rent one in Bethlehem, and that's what we were going to drive to it. The problem is the Bethlehem Guitar Center does not rent drum.
Can you rent Syracuse?
So if we only needed a kick drum,
you can. However. We still need to rent in Lancaster, and the drive from Lancaster to Syracuse needs to be at least halfway done by the time Guitar Center opens.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, so that's the other problem.
Guitar Center's open at 11.
But Guitar Center is not the only place in the world that rents.
So that's the other thing.
It is in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
No,
that's the other thing we're talking about though. Before,
if we only need a kick drum, again, just thinking outside the box, if we only need a kick drum, we have every single other piece, because apparently the kick drum is the big one, big kahuna that we can't.
I think that here's the overall idea.
The one we're the most concerned about with sound.
Well, the overall idea here is to eliminate the need for rental at all, because at that point it's like just might as well rent the whole kit, because the idea is what we're trying to do is eliminate that need for having to then go back to the place that we rented to, because at that point renting a kick drum or renting a fucking Rush drum set doesn't fucking matter because you still have to go back to the same spot. You know what I mean?
No, it does matter. If you only have to pick, first of all, the cost isn't that much, but you could most likely just find a kick drum at any venue.
No, you can't. that's the problem.
No, you cannot.
Sorry.
So if we look into, again, a rental, we'll still have a kick drum to rent from Guitar Center. We'll still go through the process, but now it'll be less of a headache of the amount of gear.
Here's the other thing.
Making sure that you're not like at the venue. Oh shit, we don't have a clutch.
Here's the other problem, dude.
Yeah.
What's
like
the
that.
rack tom gonna mount? It's like the mounts for these drums are attached to the kick drum, and they're like the specific ones.
I'm still failing to see how that solves any problems. You're still renting. You're still going on your way to rent places. You're still going on your way to rent something. You're still taking the time. You still have to work on logistics to get back to wherever you rented it from. I'm trying to eliminate all of that regardless.
The other thing that I'm going to try for this one, if we can use that to eliminate it, I'm just going to go on forums like Kevin mentioned.
Yeah. So before our
see
call,
if there's any
before our call.
yeah,
for the podcast.
see if there's just post on local musician forums. Hey, who wants $100 and a free ticket to a show? Maybe a couple beers. Like, can we use your drum kit for a night?
Yeah, we're gonna.
That way, it solves all the problems because they're bringing it to the venue and.
Yeah, we're gonna look into other options for this one,
great idea.
but really the whole discussion is we're trying to obviously convey the kind of the planning that goes into this.
Yeah, it can suck.
Right?
It can suck.
So here's all the things the behind the scenes that you don't like see. Like, okay, well they're up on stage. Of course they're playing. It's like, well, all of these things we had to plan for, either pack, bring with us, or figure out a way to get someplace else.
The funny thing is, this is what our conversations sound like too when we're talking. So it's like 20 minutes of like back and forth,
Right.
and not that it's a bad thing, but
26.
26 minutes of back and forth. So like
26 exactly.
to get like one or two things figured out, because like the logistics of like taking a whole band and flying them over somewhere is tough.
So I'm predicting right now.
Are you putting it out
on
of the ether?
episode 6 that this conversation is going to change because we're going to figure out a way to travel with drum sets, and we're gonna be like, this is how you travel with a drum set. We're going to have a future episode about that. I predict it. I think it's going to happen. I think it's the way to go. Again, it's the same thing with the minivan. I was fighting that tooth and nail, and now I guess we're team minivan, and this guy's fighting the travel kit. I think he's going to become team travel kit here soon. But we'll see. But moving to the next thing. So let's talk about merch. Let's talk about what we do to fly with merch. Remember when we first our first time we're like trying to travel, like, well, how the fuck are we going to travel with merch? Because we have these massive coffins, right? We're like, so how do we get all that to a venue? Like, what do we do?
So the coffins, or are we talking the drive shows?
No. I'm talking about the fly shows.
The fly shows. Okay, so we have our the biggest deal is we don't have like 2 or 3 different colors of shirts. Well, colors mean 2 or 3 different designs of shirts.
Total design.
We have like 12 designs of shirts that we need to have with 6 different sizes in some capacity.
Right.
So they all need. What we do is we have laundry bags that are all colored and taped with the logo on it, and we've kind of like decided the sizes that we're going to have for these, and then we split them evenly across to where each suitcase is under 50 pounds. Now we're up to, it's going to be 3 or 4 suitcases. But,
yeah.
So we basically take 200 pounds of shirts with us and hats. And
150.
150 so far,
Right.
but going forward it might be 4.
You think so? Woo. Maybe.
It depends.
Maybe?
Yeah. So far it's 3, so 150 pounds of shirts that we're taking, and they're all thankfully
Jeez.
organized in their own.
Yeah, we'll talk about our organization and merch in a future episode. But traveling, we have it down to a science where it's a certain number of shirts. We know like each shirt's about 0.6 ounces, and kind of what the math is involved in that. But we have, some of our cases have our hats, so we have a hat case so hats don't get crushed. It's in this like plastic container, and I have like a membership at the Container Store now. Sam makes fun of me, but I'm all about organizing
I'm
things.
stopping by the Container Store. Fucking go figure.
I was at the Container Store today, actually, getting more shit.
They have new exclusives.
Yeah, so
limited
but
edition.
that was the one thing. It was like we literally have, and we kind of talked about it. We literally have bags that are just dedicated to merch, and we know exactly the sizes and everything that's going into each merch, each bag. And so we try to stay organized. I'm an organizational freak, but we literally took us a bit to kind of dial it in, and it was definitely a couple, maybe 4 to 6 hour nights of Sam and I trying to figure it out. But I think we're in a good place. And again, I think we have it so dialed that's why we opted to have a completely separate inventory for our flying shows than we
so much
than
easier
we have for our driving shows.
So much easier.
And it makes our merch guy happy because I put in like an order like 2 times a week now. So
thank you, everybody.
yeah, thanks Adrian.
Nice.
You have a go.
Thanks
bag
everybody
for
who's
merch.
buying our shirts.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about this last episode too, but why why would it make sense to do an RV or a van or minivans? Like what where was the journey in that? And do you think it would ever make sense to go back to RV, or do you think it would ever make sense to do the van again? I think we're doing the single van, this other one. So like, how do you make that decision when you're planning your logistics?
All about financial is what it has to be all about financial, because we can't go into the red on these tours. It makes no sense. If we have guarantees,
really, that's the bottom line is try to figure out the most efficient and cheapest way to do everything.
Yeah, well, the best bang for the buck is what's important.
Right.
So we were able to make the RV feasible because I found an Airbnb for RVs, and I found the cheapest but biggest one, and I compared that to hotel prices. And in this case, it ended up being a little bit cheaper. But RVs are gas hogs, and there's more shit that can go wrong with them. So which is what we found out. So the advantage of an RV is that you don't have to unload and load everything in each day from like a hotel. But the disadvantage is it's usually fucking expensive and it's dangerous.
Have we really been unloading stuff from our vans though recently? I mean, not really.
I mean, we have to. Well, we have to because we have to like our clothing and stuff like that, and then like packing up
clothing.
So it's like, but like once we get our stuff in there, we're unpacking our clothing, and there's just less that needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, again, we talked about last episode. I'm like definitely team RV or tour bus. I would be
team tour bus if we had
a driver.
If we had a tour bus, I'd be team tour bus all day.
Yeah. Exactly.
But again,
with the dozen
don't get it twisted.
A few days.
It's just that as of what we've been doing so far, Team Minivan has been my favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely the most cost efficient. Definitely the most cost efficient for sure.
You're like who's driving? Oh, Steve's already sitting.
Such a vast difference between those two. Yeah, it's like going from like a Yugo to like a Bentley.
What the RV to the minivans?
Yeah,
From the RV to like a tour bus. Like
yeah.
100
Stark.
I would be down if we like booked a show, because you kind of have to, in order to get a tour bus, you kind of have to book around Nashville or LA, but primarily Nashville. And I would be, if we booked over there and we had either some like sizable guarantees or good pre-sale numbers, I would totally look into seeing what it would cost to do it for like 4 days.
Well, just get a driver and everything?
Yeah.
Probably at least $1,000 a day, at least.
Oh, it was $1,000 a day 15 years ago.
Okay.
I know that because
1,500.
I talked to the singer of Real Big Fish about that on Warped Tour, and he was like, it's about $1,000 a day.
Nice.
Like, oof. This was back in
Dude, that's so nothing to those guys though. It's like,
yeah.
No problem.
But it was a lot to like bands. I'm sure there were bands playing Warped Tour that were making
also,
2-3 a day and paying $1,000.
You got to think about this too though, like $1,000 a day, but you're also that's your hotel, so you got to think of that.
That's why
too.
I would look into it. That's why I would look into it.
It's your gas.
So I don't know if there's any minimums that they have on days, rental days. Like those are things.
I wonder if you could start and end in 2 different cities. I wonder if you do that.
You can for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
I like that idea.
Van Hool, are you listening?
What'd you say?
Van Hool?
Who's
for the tour bus company? Yeah.
How about we each get our own tour bus?
Yeah.
Isn't it like Blink used to do that or some shit?
Yeah, I think
they probably still do that.
I think when they start taking
they're probably flying.
And stuff.
Travis hates flying.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. Married to a Kardashian.
Kardashian made him get over that fear.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be so lonely having your own tour bus.
I think it's like for families, like when you
Yeah.
have family
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Travis Barker flies home after every show.
Right.
Yeah.
No, not flies home. He doesn't fly.
Well, he does now. He does now.
He does? He does again?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's Courtney? Is Courtney? What's her name? That Courtney like got him over his fear.
Private jet though, it's different.
I don't know. I'd be more scared in a private jet.
I would. That's my dream, dude.
Well, he
No,
crashed in a
that's
private
it.
jet.
Yeah.
You're probably flying like a Concorde. Something that's just like
Those small planes.
3 times as fast to get to New York or whatever.
So before we move on to the next question though, I is like what are the other things, like when I ask you like, hey, run some numbers, like what are all the things? Because we talk about flights, right? Then we talked about van rentals, right? Obviously you calculate gas. How do you calculate gas usually?
Find the mileage to the car, deduct 2 miles per gallon just because you never know what's going to fucking happen, and then find out an average for gas in the area. What I like to do is just kind of go a little liberal on it and just use something close to LA prices. Like I use, I calculate everything at $4 a gallon, even though I know it's going to be between $3 and $3.50.
And it's such a nice thing when you're other states and we're like, oh, we're under gas budget.
Yeah, exactly, because it's always better to like plan ahead that you're gonna
right,
and then
you don't want the other thing to happen. Oh shit,
exactly. So yeah.
Okay, so then we calculate. So we have the flights now. We have the van rental costs.
Hotels.
We have so exactly. So after gas, then what are you kind of looking for in hotels?
So with hotels, I exclusively use Booking.com. There's a few different things that I look for. Number one,
sponsor.
Well, number one,
cockroaches.
free
No
cancellation.
cockroaches.
Number one, free cancellation. Number two, no prepayment needed. And the biggest reason why is if plans change, we don't want to be locked into a hotel, or if like a better deal comes along, I want to be able to know that we haven't paid for that yet.
Or logistics have to change, which happens sometimes.
Or logistics have to change. Yeah, it's yeah.
Right.
If you can cancel that shit beforehand without having to worry about it, then that's like good to have in your back pocket. And also, it allows us, with flights, you kind of have to pay for those ahead of time. But with hotels, it's also nice because it's taking the smaller amount of the budget and paying for it while we're there instead of paying for it after the fact.
Yeah.
So, and then also with Booking.com, that's what I use. So I do it under my account and then use the band card to pay for it. But
he's racking up them points.
Well, no. Here's the thing. I'm at genius level 7 on Booking.com, so I get a lot.
So they love you.
I get a lot of discounts.
They're trying to hire him over there.
Right.
I mean, give me a job. But I have I get
ambassador.
really good rates on
They wouldn't know what to
Booking.com
do with
pretty
them.
much anywhere. So that's what I look for.
He's got the deals, steals and deals. Okay, so is there anything else then? So we got now flights, vans, gas, hotels. Is there anything else then you have to kind of figure out at that point?
No, I don't really figure out food. We all kind of fend for ourselves.
I don't know. You gotta figure out my per diem.
Oh yeah. Randall's is the expensive whore.
Yeah, I guess the last thing would be just timing. Like, what time do we have to leave? And then add an hour to what the drive would be, just in case we want to stop or grab something to eat, or Steve's gonna take 4 shits on a 3-hour drive.
The Steve shit tour.
What about audibles? When the tire blows and we need to find someone to fix a RV tire.
Oh man, well that's obviously kind of it's a case by case
on a whim, and then you got to drive 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's me and Sam troubleshooting.
That'll be on a tour stories.
We haven't told that. Have we told that story yet?
Oh, let's save it. For,
we kind of.
Let's save it for. Let's
touched on it.
Let's do a rundown of a whole Texas tour as a podcast episode.
I think we already talked about that in one of our episodes.
We might have been our first one.
It was the first tour that you were talking about. I'm not sure how detailed we got into that story, but yeah, it was that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the crazy thing too, is we kind of outlined obviously all the planning that goes into one scenario. But here's one thing that Sam does that, because we're looking for the best and most efficient ways to do things, right? And I think we should use maybe we should kind of retell the Indiana, Illinois to San Diego thing, and how we had all these different plans. So what happens is, so Sam will be like, okay, here's option 1. This is how much this costs. Here's option 2, and it's always flying into some other airport and getting this other rental and kind of again organizing how we're gonna drive to place, right? He just mentioned we're flying into Philadelphia, but we're getting there at 1 a.m, so we're just driving straight to Lancaster at that point versus getting a hotel in Philadelphia, driving the next morning. So all these different things kind of play in, but he'll go through multiple options and here's the most efficient, here's the most price conscious one, and we'll kind of then make a decision. And usually most of the time it's a conversation between me and Sam where I trust you, man, make the right decision. But let's talk about the logistical craziness that was with Indiana, Illinois, and then to San Diego. So what happened? I'll kind of set the stage here. Is what happened was we got booked for the show in San Diego, February 17th, and then maybe a month or so later after we confirmed, we got an opportunity to play in Indiana at a Valentine's Day specific party. And it was at this, again, we talked about this earlier, a 4-diamond hotel. They'd never done anything like this, but it was a Wednesday. We never play Wednesday shows, but it was obviously Valentine's Day, and it was a good guarantee at a really, really awesome place. We're like, okay, well, let's do that. But since we're out there, let's try to now plan a couple more shows to just make it worth the while, so we don't just go out there for Wednesday and then have nothing Thursday, Friday, and then fly back to San Diego Saturday. So we ended up booking a show Thursday in Urbana, and then we're debating. Okay, should we just make Friday a travel day? Just get back to San Diego and no problem. We're like, oh well, let's see if there's something. If not, it'll be no problem. We'll just make Friday a travel day. Well, our booking agent Pete, he got a show on Friday in Chicago. So we went from having a show Saturday in San Diego to then having a show in Indiana and doing this crazy run from Indiana, Illinois, all the way back to San Diego. So before we even agreed to it, I'm like, Sam, like, can we even make this happen? So I want you to kind of run down in your own words, like, how did you kind of make this happen? I mean, obviously, where we finally got to and how everyone kind of took off from different airports and how you guys flew,
And I
all
flew
that stuff.
separately.
But
yeah,
like, what was your, like, how was your process figuring this shit out?
So I'll go with the.
Probably Excel.
I'll go with the. No, I don't. I hate Excel. So the fairly easy part was getting back from Chicago to San Diego because we gained 2 hours in that. So we were able to take an afternoon flight and still get to San Diego by like 5, which gave us enough time to go rent the U-Haul and drive to Soundcheck, or the trailer.
Well, but you're jumping ahead.
But,
though.
no, I was just about to go there. Yeah, but going there was a nightmare because since we all had to be back in San Diego for the show, which was technically a drive show, and not everyone could fly. I'll get into this, but not everyone could fly out of San Diego. I had to load up the van with all of our stuff, drive it down to San Diego, picked up Steve. Then Steve and I left the van with all of our drive shit in it. It's like Jason's drum kit, all of our amps, at the San Diego airport parking lot. Meanwhile, Jordan and Josh flew out of Long Beach because that was closer. Jason flew out 2 days beforehand to go visit his mom, and Randall flew out the next day into Indianapolis.
Oh yeah.
So I had to coordinate 6 different people flying out of 4 different airports.
Right.
Oh, dude, it's burned into my brain.
Luckily that it was only a couple of weeks ago. So.
Yeah.
So I had to coordinate 6 people flying out of 6 different airports and trying to have everybody there at the same time,
Yeah.
and we did it.
Yeah. So that was the interesting thing. So when we first talked about it, we're like, okay, well, like we have this show in San Diego, so we know we have to play this show. Are we gonna just try to rent a drum set down there? Like what? How
are we gonna fly to LAX?
Are we gonna
and
fly to
then drive
LAX?
down?
So do we fly back from Chicago to LAX and then make the drive to San Diego? So there was all these different options that we were kind of going through. And again, it was like, do we keep this a travel day? Can we make it back? Traffic at that time on a Saturday shouldn't be too bad, but it's still going to be about 2 hours. So when can we make it back from it? So we inevitably came up with, okay, Steve lives in San Diego, so Sam was going to drive down there with whatever our local driving gear was. Like he said, park it in there. So we would just literally land and then have our gear there already for that show. So that's really the only way we made this work. But yeah, because he drove down, everyone else flew out to Indiana. They flew out. We all met there, did our whole thing. But all of this was just like, again, this dance of options of like, here's the costs, right, mixed with the efficiencies, mixed with time. It was all those things put together that built the plan, right? And so that's I think we talked about this last episode about what people don't understand about tour, and we talked about all the pre-planning, right, that goes into these things. People don't realize there's a lot of logistics that goes into this, especially when you're flying into shows. I think
It's
there's
way harder than booking a vacation.
way harder.
So many more things to like think about versus like booking a
I
vacation.
was gonna say, even a vacation is a lot to book.
It's a lot to book, and most of the time you're staying at one resort or one hotel the whole time.
Right,
Like
or
we have to
dealing
do
with
like
yourself.
4 different hotels in 4 different cities and find out when we're going to get there
Right.
with a bunch of shit
Right.
and a bunch of people, and also like 6 dudes are just impossible to keep on the same page. It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Like especially
Yes.
it's like,
That's another funny thing. So we Sam's the youngest in the band, so we call him Boss Baby, especially on tour. That's the new nickname we've given him, is because he's the young one, but he's also like the planner and the guy that's making all these things happen. So I want to take a moment. Let's all thank you, Sam, for his tour managing, his logistics wizardry. So is there anything else that, I know we kind of gave a couple examples, we kind of go through the rundown of all the options and how you kind of plan things out. Before we kind of move on, like, is there anything else logistically, tour managing wise? Oh, actually, you know what? That brings me up.
the
So
answer to the same
what?
question. Look at
I came up with it just like that.
that.
So what goes into advancing a show? This is something that I used to kind of do. I've put now on you as tour manager. So what are I kind of have a list here if you kind of get stuck, but off the top of your
I have
head,
the list
maybe
too.
pull yours up too. But like, what is the
I'll go through the list.
how do you advance a show? What are the things that we need to know and lock down with a venue before getting there?
There's a lot. So I think there's like 10 questions here. So the all right.
Did you add mine to yours?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah,
Perfect.
So,
Then I don't have to
all
look
right.
at it.
So I mean, just the things that we need to go, and some of them are going to be self-explanatory. What time is load in? When should sound check?
Well,
be?
let's break down each one, right?
Yeah. What time is load in? So what time should we show up to bring the gear in?
So that again goes into tour planning, because we have to now make sure whatever we're doing, leaving a hotel, flying into a place, we have to make sure that we're physically at a location at a certain time. So that we have to again make this work back schedule of how long it takes to drive somewhere, how long it takes to fly somewhere, what time we got to check out of a hotel. All these things go into that, which is the next. What's your load in? Okay, next one.
Then tagging on to that, when should sound check be done? So we need to have sound check, load in and sound check being done within that time frame. So sound check has taken us a while because we're all kind of specific on what we want to hear. Thankfully with the with the in-ear rack that we built, that should speed up. That should eliminate most of the the time.
Yeah, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on why that is. But our in-ear rack system now, how we have it, is we can all dial in our own ear monitors, so we have exactly how we want it to sound it, versus like having to tell a sound engineer, oh, can you get more snare, less guitar, more vocals? I mean, they're not hearing it, so they kind of got to guess, and it's like, it's almost a game of telephone, right? So you can't really get it exactly how you want it because you're still having to translate it to a guy that's not hearing the same thing. But now we have our own system where each one of us gets to dial in our own mix, and it's been great. And again, we've had some nightmare sound checks, and Jason we joke about it with him, but it's like, we had this one sound check in Vegas that was literally 2.5 hours.
Bones.
2.5 hours.
I will say his name on this podcast.
2.5 hours, and we played for 2.5 hours. So we're sound checking for just as long as our show was. And so it's a complete nightmare. Hopefully that's never the case anymore. But
to put it in perspective, our last show with the in-ear rig, sound check took less than 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
And we were perfect.
That's a good point. And but why the question, why does sound check have to be done, or what time does sound check have to be done by? For whatever reason, if we blow a tire on the road or something like that, we kind of know how much time we have then to like make up, right? So we're like, okay, shit, we're late by 30 minutes, but we still have an hour before doors or before sound check has to end. Usually sound check is over when doors are, so that's when the venue doors open, people can come in.
That's worst case scenario. I mean, like ideal worst case scenario, we would rather have sound check be done an hour to an hour and a half beforehand, because we want to set up merch, we want to kind of relax, we want to eat a little bit if we possibly can.
Yeah, like we talked about last time, that's one of the worst things. So hopefully those things are a thing of the past, but it's still a good question to know.
Will never be a thing of the past, but I think it's less.
No, I mean like the super long sound checks.
I know. It's like, yeah, I feel like there's always that one. Do you have any screens to play video?
It's a good one. Yeah, I mean, and Sam's a big proponent of this, and I'm a big fan as well. But it's gonna be a lot of effort, and not all these places have screens. But if you've seen an Emo Kid show where they have LED screens, it's definitely a level up than just having our banner behind us, for sure. So we have some visuals that we play that are on a loop. Eventually, we want to obviously develop some other ones that are song specific, which may be
that can tie into like if we can, like, none of us are. I mean, Jordan's a pretty good animator, but like, I don't want to put this all on Jordan, but I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
I kind of want to like
it's a lift.
Figure out a way to turn it into a show instead of just just playing like bands' videos or something like that. So kind of find a way to like
Emo Kid specific visuals that still tie in music videos in some other ways. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fun, unique ways.
It's in the infant stages of development.
But yeah, not all the places have it, but it's good for us to know so we can kind of prepare.
Yeah. Do you provide any hospitality or serve food?
Yeah,
it's a big one.
So that's a big one. I mean, so we have a hospitality rider. Some places ask for it. We just kind of have it in one of our links that we send to venues. But it's one thing to note when you have a hospitality thing. A lot of times they won't tell you that they'll just take the cost of the hospitality off of your budget at the end. That's like, well, this is how much you would have made in tickets, but we had to spend X amount of dollars on your hospitality, and we're like, what? So now we just say
12-pack of Coors Light cost how much?
Yeah, so now we just say okay, we need waters on stage, and if you want to pay for the rest of it, here's kind of a list of these things, but we don't necessarily need someone to buy us some stuff. But I would say maybe 50% of venues have some sort of meal plan or something. Yeah. A lot of places have 2 drink tickets or some sort of drink thing that we can have. Usually they're all pretty good about water. but yeah, I mean, like again, we have had some bad luck in having time to eat, but hopefully that's a thing of the past as well.
We also have ran into a lot of bad luck with venues not having water bottles.
Oh yeah, they just have like
They have like
You're
they're like, we'll
pouring
pour
wa-
you some cups. What the fuck is the matter with you? Like, we're gonna knock this over.
yeah. One thing about our shows, you might know that it's like we have a lot of energy and there's a lot of movement, a lot of kinetic energy on stage. And yeah, these little plastic cups are pretty dangerous around electronics. I mean, who would have thought? But yeah, some venues don't have that kind of foresight.
Do you have a specified green room for the band? Which is so important. Like,
How many times? What do you think the percentage of places that don't at this point? Like,
Maybe 30%.
yeah,
Don't.
but still way too much places.
Yeah,
way
it's
too
like-
many places.
We're not divas or anything like that. But like before we play, because we know after we play, we're gonna be talking to people the whole time. It's really nice to just kind of relax and let the people go in, let the show go on without having to like interact with anybody.
Right.
So we can just kind of have our like us time and our quiet time and just
Or
kinda,
Jason's
like, warm
Jason's
up.
warming up on drums.
Yeah.
Randall and me are stretching.
And you can't. It's really awkward to do that in a room with 100 or 300 people in it, and they're all
Right.
just like looking at you, like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Right. Actually, funny side note. Yeah, Randall and I were doing stretches at Winston's because they didn't have a green room. So while we're doing sound check, me and Randall are doing stretches on the stage, and people are watching us.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we done it in the trailer.
I stretch in the trailer. There was. I guess I could have. that was
could've.
a
It was 6
monster.
by 12,
That was
yeah.
our green room. That was a monster.
Yeah.
I stretch in the corner like a creep, like
Yeah.
in the darkness.
Right. in the restroom behind me while I'm going there.
It's so fucking weird. Yeah, I was all over in the corner in the dark corner.
Oh, yeah.
all our gear.
Like a hobbit.
Yeah,
Or like
I,
Schmeagol.
I really prefer to not play shows where the venue does not have a green room, just because I like having my me time and being able to relax.
And boy, do green rooms range, right?
Yeah.
They sure do. Yeah.
Man, there's such a. I mean, even some places that have similar sized stages have like infinitely different sized green
Right.
rooms.
yeah.
Right. And the thing with the green room, it doesn't really take much.
Okay, here's a fun deviation then. Here's a fun deviation for everyone. Least favorite green room and most favorite green room that you've been in your whole musical career.
Whole
man.
musical.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, backstage, bar and billiards.
Backstage bar is probably my favorite. I think probably across the board,
That one-
maybe.
that was
There's
a-
something
There's a-
about that.
That
one.
There's
one
a full-on-
or, House of Blues Sunset had an amazing green room.
Oh, I was never in that one.
Are you kidding me?
Yucai's was pretty
Yeah,
Dude,
because it had the
Yeah.
like you could open it and you're like right on Sunset with that deck right there.
Yeah, all right.
And then it was right next to like their little tiny club right that was right there. So like on above House of Blues. I can't remember what it was called, but
yeah, I can't remember.
this Bourbon Lounge or something like that.
Something
Bourbon
like
Room.
that.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, little acoustic sets
Yeah.
up there, the mini stage.
Yep. But that was that one or Backstage Bar in Vegas maybe. Backstage Bar, worst sound check, best green room.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
Remember the Cobalt Cafe?
Oh, did they? Oh, that's right. The green room was like the kitchen.
That was
right?
like the worst green room I've ever been in.
Yeah, everybody just walks in there.
I'm gonna say the District in Redlands is my least favorite green room.
Is it? Is that like? It's not even like
It's
really
the one.
green
No,
room,
yeah, it's where they store all the tables.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've been in worse green rooms than that. Like they're like closets, like glorified closets, and like everything's wet.
We did,
You know what I mean?
We did have a closet. Was it Venice? What?
Oh, Venice West, that one where we were.
That one's pretty bad.
that
Oh,
was
that's like
pretty
it was
bad.
like a hallway. It was kind of
Yeah.
more of a hallway entrance.
Yeah, that was. I think the last time we played there.
But they
right?
have two.
That
They
was
have
the
one.
They have two. They have two.
Like, we're gonna send you guys off.
The first one though, the one that's in the side house, that was way worse than the other
Right.
room that's kind of connected in like by the kitchen.
Yeah, but even that
The
one.
side house
wasn't
one
too
was.
bad.
Oh yeah, that one was tiny.
They're
Because they
not
wouldn't let
great.
us into the good one.
I
I
think
should have just taken a bath. in
I
the
feel like
Venice
I feel like I know more green rooms in my head, but I feel like I'm like blocking them out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know worse green rooms for sure.
Well, our green room at the Brownsville Beer Fest, even though I got a blast there, it was a tent. Like if we didn't have our RV, it was
Thank
like
God
it was
we
like
had-
it was like an
Oh.
elk
Yeah,
tent.
that wasn't really a green room. It was definitely. And then like we shared it with like there
It was full of beer though. So I was
Oh,
like,
that was the best part. It was just like just the whole
it was like a
igloo.
tent with like 3 big.
Oh, just
buckets
ice chests. Those
that
were the
just
ice
were
chests
full
everywhere,
of beer
full of
and
shit.
Red Bull and water.
I loved it. Yeah, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. That was great.
Yeah, I think honestly, what I hate is just like gross green rooms and like just tiny, where it's like there's 5 of us and it's like maybe 3 of us can be in there comfortably. I hate to say this, like the Clock Out Lounge in Seattle, that was like so tiny, and
Oh,
we had
yeah.
like all our stuff in there too.
But I
It's just
love playing there though.
yeah.
They treat us really well.
No, they're super cool. But yeah, the green room was much to be desired for sure. Any other comments before he goes on the next thing? Go.
All right, what is the?
Oh, God. Sorry.
Again.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I feel like if you're going off my list, I feel like one of these questions is like Randall's favorite question to ask me. And I'm like, fucking, that's one of the reasons I'm like, Randall or Sam, you take over tour managing and all this stuff, because
Tired of
I
answering Randall's
fucking
questions.
hate having to answer this question every single time. I'm just gonna say it.
The food one?
I'm just gonna say it because I know it's not. I know it's not your thing. This is what I get from Randall. It's either the food thing or is there a band bar tab, bro? Bro, is there a band bar tab, bro? All the fuck every time. We're like stressed out, late for a show, middle of sound check. Randall inevitably like, bro, is there a band tab, bro? Like I always fucking ask him, like, never ask me again. That's a Sam question now. So is there
Randall's blissfully unaware.
is there a band bar tab is one thing that we like to ask in advance, because you know a lot of venues do give some sort of like, hey, you have either have a $100 $150 tab or 2 drink tickets each or whatever. The places that don't need to get with the times. You need to treat your musicians better. So that I know that's one thing Randall's had a big problem with. We played. I'm not going to mention names, but we played some places in the past that should have provided free beer and they didn't, and Randall fucking almost blew a gasket.
Yeah.
so definitely treat your
Breweries
musicians
in particular.
treat your musicians right. Give them free beer of some sort. But yeah, what's the next question?
What's the Wi-Fi info for the merch card reader?
Yes.
Had some issues with that.
Wi-Fi reader is hugely important, especially when we're running behind and we're like, shit. The merch is like the least of the priorities because obviously we've got to get the sound right and all that stuff. So merch is kind of last priority. Obviously we have Kevin now, so hopefully we can eliminate that as well. But if we get the Wi-Fi in advance, set up the card reader, everything's smooth sailing. Obviously everyone likes
I think this is where
everyone likes the Wi-Fi in the.
This is where I'm gonna come in as well.
What? Oh yeah.
Set up some new
Oh god,
equipment.
this guy's he's trying to be salesman with me right now in the middle of our podcast.
Call
But
me.
yeah, I mean everyone in the green room likes Wi-Fi too, so they can watch porn. So what's the next thing?
Pre-show.
Where is the merch area located, and do you have any merch support gear like gates for hangers, chairs, light, or table?
Did I do that one or is that yours?
No, that was yours.
Oh, that's good. I'm smart. I'm glad I added that one.
So that helps because like if we need to fly into a show, when we drive to shows, we have hangers and tables and everything that we have, but you know, with 12 plus different designs, they all need to be hung up on a rack in order to be displayed, because otherwise nobody's going to buy them if they don't look good. So
Yeah, that's always one thing. I really wish every single venue had some sort of like gates that hang up so you can hang shirts on, because it just display wise it's just so much better than just folding them on a table. I mean that's inevitably what we have to do a lot of times, is just have a big table and put all the shirts nicely folded so you can see the designs. But again, we talked about this earlier, we have 12 to now potentially 18 designs we're gonna have. It's like there's just so many, and again we know this way more than most bands.
Yeah.
we get that. But
18 different designs, 6 different sizes for each design.
60, yeah. So we have a lot of shit, but I mean, people really enjoy it. So we try to make the people happy. But yeah, having gates to display it, or at least having a large enough section, is super important to us specifically. Maybe not so much to a bunch of other bands that maybe have 1 or 2 shirts, but we appreciate that.
Yeah. What's the parking situation? So depending on what vehicle we have, if we're in an RV or van with a trailer or whatever, not all venues are equal in having parking available for bands.
Oh yeah, especially when we're talking about downtown city areas, right? And if we have, I would love this, but if we have an RV, that could be a problem in places like, downtown
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah, something like that.
Well, and also the point of these
even trailers too.
The point of these questions is also, if we get this info a week in advance, we know how we can plan. We can ask them, hey, can you block out a section in front with cones? That way we're not like scrambling at the last minute, having somebody having to like go drive the van with the trailer and go find parking,
right,
or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, all of it really comes down to, again, the logistics stuff, and which is what again, the concise way of saying what a tour manager is all the planning, all the logistics. What else we got on the list?
We look forward to hearing back and playing together.
So, let me see if I have anything else on here. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so those are the kind of things that we ask before shows, and hopefully we get better at getting this type of information. But I feel like for whatever reasons, venues are not very easy to get to pull this.
You would think this is all they do. You would think they would be great at it.
You think they just have a thing, they just press send.
Oh, and when they do, oh my god, it's great. Or when they have like a designated person to, hey, can you call this person to work everything out? And then the person's like asking the most technical questions. It's like, oh, thank you so much. Like, we know this is gonna go good.
Yeah. Not all venues are created equal. Not all sound guys are created equal, for sure.
What was his name? Kip?
Which one?
Vegas?
Kip.
Kip?
Which one?
Yep.
Right?
Oh, it's in Morro Bay.
Is that the one?
Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Morro Bay, the best sound guy.
Kip was great.
Yeah.
But
We were
homie
talking about
homie
Kip
at Winston's was pretty damn good too.
Yes.
What's his name?
Which one was Winston's?
Winston's the San Diego.
Kyle.
Oh, San Diego. Oh, yeah, he
Kyle?
was great. Yeah, he was
Is
awesome.
it Kyle?
Kyle.
He was great.
I like
Kip
the
was
dude at
great.
Cruisers.
Oh,
He's
what's that
good
guy's
too.
name? Drew.
Drew.
Man, he's good
Come
with
on,
names.
guys.
I'm not good with names at all.
Oh, you're a sound guy.
He works in a bar. He has to remember everything.
That's true.
I'm the worst. Yeah, so a lot of we've had a lot of good sound guys. We've had more not good sound guys.
Yeah.
Oddly. It's weird. Too
But
many.
here's
Did you
the
mention
thing.
stage beers too?
What
Any
did I say?
questions?
Oh, we don't. We just
Well,
do.
that's
It's-
bar
yeah,
bar
yeah,
tab.
yeah.
Well, sometimes there are.
There is
like
no-
pails of beer.
There is. That's because I
well,
get
that's
them.
part of
love
the
that.
that's part of the band tab.
That's because
part of it.
I go get them. I literally ask for buckets.
Aw.
Yeah.
So
That's why you
yeah,
get
I mean,
paid the big bucks.
here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's important for all of us to hear how we sound. And so like monitoring is huge for live performance, right? It's either coming through wedges or it's in our in-ear monitors. At the end of the day, all that really matters is how it sounds to the crowd. So we want obviously the experience for the crowd to be good, but it helps the crowd if we can hear ourselves, right?
If we hear ourselves good, we have way more fun. Thus, our show is better.
Yeah, and again, if we can't hear ourselves, even if the sound is really good, it probably won't be as technically accurate.
We're always
Right.
looking at each other
Always
for
looking at each other,
cues,
so
or
not
like
as tight.
we're not as tight.
yeah, so we've had some different situations like that is a funny thing. One of the things that we do in show advancing too, and this is mostly coming from the venue side, is that they ask us for a stage plot or a tech writer. And I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna give you a second. You're gonna go through the tech writer. What's all included on there. I'm gonna first talk about the stage plot because I made it. But really, what it is it's a visual image of how we are set up on stage and what equipment that we use. So, for instance, on stage right will be Sam and his guitar. He has his pedal. He has a wedge there and a microphone. So it literally will be a picture of a microphone, a guitar pedal, a stage wedge. I even have pictures of little in-ear monitors to kind of indicate all those different things. For me, I have my vocal pedal processor that I have. I have a DI box that indicates DI box for backing tracks. And then I have my vocal monitor and in-ear monitors. Sorry, the microphone and in-ear monitors as well. So it denotes that's my equipment, right? Same thing for Steve. Is very similar to Sam's. I mean, I would say maybe identical. Now that he uses in-ear monitors, and then Randall's kind of the same. He piggybacks off of Steve's in-ear monitors now. But either way, we like to have wedges in the front as kind of backups. Jason, I have indicated that he has his own personal mixer. That we just want to plug an XLR mix of the house, which is no longer the case because you're going to get a mix from our in-ear monitor system. But all of these things are literally visually. So there's a picture of a drum set, there's a picture of guitars, picture of amps and stuff. How we set these things up so that they can look at that. They can look at that image, and there's a little Excel sheet underneath it that kind of has literally spelled out. So the guitar pedals can all go direct to house. This person wants an in-ear monitor mix. The XYZ. This person's a bass player.
Of the entire show.
Like Sam, for instance, likes a boom mic stand, right? He doesn't like the straight mic stands. I have that in there. So that's the kind of information that we have on this what I call stage plot, right? So Sam, did you have the thing
I'm
open?
pulling up the tech writer right now. I'm trying to find it.
I have it right here if you need it. When you grab it,
Oh, do you?
maybe give me a second. Are you gonna be able to find it?
There we go.
Cool. So Sam's gonna pull it off. But here's he's gonna go while he's looking for this. The funny thing I always find is no matter how often I provide a stage plot and tech writer to a venue, inevitably it sounds like nobody's ever read it. They're like, "Hey, can we get that stage plot?" It's like that meme in the Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where he like hands him a plate of food and he just like throws the plate. That's how I feel like it is when we get asked for a stage plot in Tech Writer. Every once in a while we'll have some guy that's like literally asking me questions based on the Tech Writer and the stage plot. I'm like,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. I didn't do all this for nothing. Someone actually looks at it. But way too often do we get questions on stage where it's like, you didn't read the Tech Writer or the stage plot.
And you probably get hassled if you don't provide the writer.
Well, that's the thing.
Well.
I mean, we're living up to our professionalism. It's on them to then take that. I just feel like rarely do they do it. I want to say less than, I would say maybe even 2% of the time do I feel like people actually look at it and like have informed conversations based on it versus asking me things that you should not have to ask if you've looked at a stage.
That's a very
plot.
small percent.
Yeah, it's very small. I mean, maybe they do look at it and they're just asking me to asking things that just to verify, which is probably some of the case. But a lot of times I'm like, you didn't look at this thing at all. And to their credit, they probably had someone in the box office or management or whatever like, hey, send me the stage plot, and just never give it to the right guys. That probably happens. I would say probably like 40% of the time too. So you got to give those guys credit as well. They probably don't get the information, but it's like, figure it out. You need to get this information. So what else is on a Tech Writer?
So I'm going to go through the Tech Writer really quickly because there's a lot of shit on
Do
it.
it.
And we're going
Do
to
it.
Okay.
We don't have to say every single channel input or whatever. Just like
just
the
going to go through the section. So lineup. So it tells all 5 members of the band of what we play. Then DJ support depending on the show. That'd be Josh. Backline. So this one. If backline is provided, this is what we need. If backline is not provided, otherwise we will have drums and no amps. So going back to what we talked about earlier for the fly shows, if they want to provide guitar amps, we want 2x10 combo amps. Yeah, bass amp. We have our specs. Then the drum set with what we want for the drum set. Input patches. That's everything that needs to be plugged in to a speaker. So our guitars, our vocals, our drums, bass. Extra. This is important. So this is for our ears. Our in-ear monitors. We asked for 2 condenser mics that face the crowd. So the reason we ask for that is that way we can hear, our in-ear monitors are noise canceling, so we can't hear the crowd, we can just hear us. If we have microphones pointed at the crowd, we can turn that up, and that way we can hear the crowd in our noise canceling headphones.
And feel like we're in a room versus like isolated from that room. Yeah.
So
that was a new sensation for me.
It was good. Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
And then this is pretty important. Sound check. So
it was a delight.
We were really anal about when we want sound check scheduled, and then in bold, it shall not be limited as to length. Doors will be held as necessary to facilitate a check. So what's awkward as hell is when the sound check's going in the door, and they never read this, and the sound check's going still when we're trying to dial in everything, and they just start letting people in. That way they see us, they hear us not being at our best, and they don't get to be like surprised at the good show. They're hearing us say like, all right, we're gonna run through all the small things one more time. And we're not ever going to play it like we're playing.
And we're not performing. We're just like standing there. And,
so that's it. And then we list the stage plot and then music example. But
that's one thing that's interesting too. A lot of these sound guys, they might not always mix for emo acts, right? Maybe they're mostly doing country. Especially like someone like Feinstein's, they're like, what is this emo music, right? So I have a link on there that actually links to like our Spotify playlist that we built, that they can actually look at or listen to some of the tracks that we have, so they have kind of a rough idea on the type of music they're going to get, right? Because if you're used to doing country or Taylor Swift, and then you have the emo kids show up, we play a little different.
I'm sure they would have liked to know that beforehand, I feel like.
What, Feinstein's?
Yeah, at that show.
Well, apparently they knew.
It's just like it sounded like a good idea at the time.
No, apparently they knew. I'm glad that we like tested out those speakers for them. I'm glad that we kind of like melted their faces.
I'm glad Sam worked out 6 individual rooms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing on there?
That was it.
Aside,
the last thing was make sure there's power across the front. Then there never is.
God, there's never power across. And
I feel like it's always hard to find a power source.
In all fairness, not a lot of singers need power source from the middle. It's usually like maybe guitars off to the side, but I feel like there's enough like guitarist singers that there still should be power in the middle. Right. But it's like it always seems to be an issue that I have to have extension cord or something, that there's never power in the middle. Yeah. So venues, get it together, just power across the front, please. Yeah. So yeah. Then what? Last question. What can a musician do to make traveling with gear easier? What are the kind of some of like maybe the hacks that you've figured out now with touring?
Get a pedal board amp modeler thing that saves all your presets, so you don't have to travel with pedals. Traveling with pedals is a bitch because each individual pedal is going to have your settings fucked up when you're
Just by
flying on a plane,
moving.
just by moving and everything. If everything is saved, it eliminates the need to travel with anything more than that pedal board and a guitar.
So I turned Sam on to Helix, Line 6 Helix. I'm not sure if you were already looking at it or what.
I
but,
wasn't.
But Randall and I worked at an advertising agency. You helped launch the website too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we worked at an advertising agency, and I was an account guy. So that what that means is pretty much the guy that works with clients. I actually brought in Yamaha or Line 6 guitar company, which is now owned by Yamaha. We helped them launch the Line 6 Helix guitar modeling pedal. It was their flagship pedal at the time. But we really believed in it. I actually didn't have a lot of experience outside of that and launching it and everything, but I was like, oh, Sam, you should look into this. And like he's like in love now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Love it.
So that's one thing. Any other hacks now that you've like traveling more? Like what you do as far as packing? I mean, you have a unique situation. So like, what's your drum hacks to get all your shit together?
I'd say easily hard cases and a cart. So always have a cart available to carry your heavy ass shit.
Yeah, I think so. And that's more for the driving shows for us for sure. But
Yeah.
But it's funny. I've been a drummer for what 20 something years, and my mom only like 2 years ago got me a drum cart because I was drumming for this band, and it's pretty much I got it for Christmas / birthday, and then Christmas is December, my birthday is in January, and then I stopped drumming in March.
So now I have your cart.
It's technically the band's, but I kind of like donated it to Jason. But it's like, I'm like, how did we not? We used to just carry this shit in, across parking lots. Why did we not have this earlier? I don't know.
Oh, dude, carts are the best.
Now that we have back problems, carts are the way to go. That's probably why we have back problems, because we carried shit for way too long than we shouldn't have been using carts. Anything else?
Nope. That's for him.
Traveling gear.
Consolidate
Yeah.
for travel, at least for flying.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Sam kind of turned me on to the vocal bag, and I think he did to you as well.
Yeah.
There's these bags. I think they're really made mostly for DJs, and they kind of have like these sections where you can kind of like put cords and shit, and there's like a front section, I think, for even laptops and different things like that. You actually started the trend. You organized it for all your guitar stuff, and then you came in one practice. You're like, you're all feeling hot. You're like, dude, I'm organized. This thing's amazing.
I used to use a backpack, and I'm like, why did I ever do that?
Yeah, and so then I had like my vocal stuff in maybe actually I had my pedal first in a backpack, and then I had my vocal stuff in some sort of bag. Actually, 2 different bags I had them in, and then I made the investment to get something like him, and it's like, dude, everything's like organized and perfectly. So yeah, again, I think he mentioned consolidation, but organization.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's huge. I think. I stress out after every single show. I'm like, until my shit is back where it belongs in its cozy little like section, I'm like kind of stressed out, and just put it in there, and I'm like, like everything's back and organized. And I know where it's at next time, and if there's a big missing section, I'm like, something's missing here. I need to do it. So like being organized in that way, I think has been super helpful to me to just know that I always have the same shit. You know what I mean? I'm not losing or leaving anything or whatever. Any other things over there, guys? Okay. So.
Steve's like, just have a bowl with some weed.
Actually, I guess I lied. There's one more kind of question, but it's more of like an explanation. So I want to go down the line, and just because this section's been the most quiet, I'm sorry, guys. I know Sam and me have been kind of dictating the whole logistics things, but I want you guys to start this whole thing out. So now, list your practices for packing up after a show. One at a time, each one of your own gear. So Randall, what do you do, man? What's your routine for packing up?
I do the bass first, pedal, and then I just put all my cords in the back of my head unit because I have a rack case.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
This guy just pretty much. This is Randall. Unplug, put the cases on, and that's it.
What do you guys
and
want?
then have
Yeah.
to
And then get one of us to carry
right,
it.
and then get one of us because he's got back problems. We got to carry his monstrous head unit, which
hate
is
that
which
thing.
is
But
heavy.
I hate it, but it's good for packing up quick because I have a power connector, so it's just one plug.
Literally
in.
one plug to a plug, and then he's done. It's amazing. So okay, well, how does that change then? Because you don't take your head unit or base to travel shows. So what do you got to do at that point? Because now I know you have a pedal too, so you got to kind of add that to the equation.
Well, base first because I just go by what's most expensive.
Ah,
So
right.
secure the most expensive.
Puts his baby away first in the case.
The stuff I usually forget, it will be like a cord here or there. That's the stuff. I
Here or
have to
there.
be careful.
Yeah, Reynolds notorious for losing cables for sure.
Yeah, that's it. It's easy on tour. I mean,
So easy for him.
Yeah.
Much different experience for you, huh, Jason? All right, Steve. Steve, what's your teardown?
It's easy too, honestly. Like just get it done. It's fucking just my pedal and cables and my guitar on the road
Yeah.
on tour.
my only problem
And then
is I
even
have
when
too
we're
much to
even then
drink.
when we were here,
You too much to
like,
drink is what you
If
said?
I have too much to
I
drink,
have
then I
one
just
bag.
forget everything. So that's the.
I have
that's
one
the
bag
issue.
in every section. I have memorized of what's in it.
And you
so.
and you have your wireless system too, right? So that's
yeah,
another.
it's all everything that's ancillary is other than my guitar is in my bag.
Yeah.
That's for home shows.
And then,
On-
yes,
on
and-
the road it's a whole on flying shows it's chaos, but that's I'm working that out as we go along. Because,
Why is it chaos? Explain it.
Just because I don't have the luxury of bringing my cable bag on flying shows.
Oh, you haven't brought it?
Well, we don't have the space for it.
Is it too big? You gotta figure that out too. Maybe we can share a case with mine and yours and put it into one potentially.
much does it
Basically,
weigh?
what Sam and I did, I just took everything I needed out of that case and put it into my laptop bag.
Yeah.
And then I put my pedal I usually carry in a separate bag, which I just ended up taking in my clothing bag for padding for travel, so it made me feel more comfortable about it getting tossed around.
Yeah.
And then all my other wireless stuff is just and cables are just wrapped in my laptop bag, which is very slim and very lightweight. And I mean, there's not a lot of moving parts to guitar in here. Now that I think about it, I mean, I don't have a stereo setup. Now that we have the in-ear rig, it's pretty much going to be all separate. I'm using Sam's in-ears anyway.
Yeah.
And
What the pods you mean?
no, the receiver and transmitter.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. The other
pods,
one,
the pods are mine
the U5 one.
that I got from drums.
Drums. That's right.
And then everything else is honestly like I probably have less than 10 pieces
Yeah.
of equipment, including cables, for my live set.
Yeah. I probably have more than most vocalists I know, probably, in regards to gear and what I put away. I have the vocal processor, which has, basic things like reverb and delay, but I also have filters that make kind of the radio effect and different kind of things because I try to get the vocals to sound similar to the album in certain sections. Obviously, Jimmy Eat World have a lot of delay for sweetness, things like that. So I have my vocal processor that I have connected to my Bluetooth switcher that helps switch the songs on the iPad, and the iPad will switch between songs that has all of our backing tracks on it. So I have that plus the stand. I put in all that goes in with obviously the power plugs and everything like that. But then I have the cable that runs from the iPad that's a splitter because we split signals. The click is one of them, and then the backing tracks are one. And then I send that to a DI box that's actually this cool double DI box. So it's contained instead of having two separate ones. I have them connected. Then I send two XLR lines out. One's with the click.
I'm sorry. It's just
Those are a lot.
over the river and through the woods.
It's like I said, it's a lot more complicated than I think most. So I have two XLRs.
And then I was, and then it sounds like your kid telling a story.
Wait till Sam starts with his shit. So I have one XLR that goes to click, one XLR that goes to the house that has the backing tracks. Are you high?
I mean, did we need to explain every single chord? What are supposed to? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that's all the things that I pack into these things. And then I have another XLR that I send to Jason that has his own personal mixer, right? So all of those things I have to pack up into my vocal bag at the end of the show as well. And each one has a very specific section that it goes to. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot the wireless
He has a
mic.
plug and he plugs into the outlet.
The wireless mic as well. I have to put the mic away. I have to put the wireless system away, and so that's again. I don't know how many different things I just mentioned out, but that's a lot more than fucking probably most vocalists. So go ahead, Sam. Sorry, I said all the different things.
I have cables that I put away first, and then I have my wireless systems, and then my guitar, and then my amp if I have it, and I'm done.
Nice.
I hate packing up, so I just grind through it and get it all done as soon as possible. Hopefully 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm done.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I try to put my wireless. I mean, now I have a different in-ear wireless system, but I used to try to put like the small things because the U-Vibe thing is so small. I made sure to put that away first, and the
All
iPad.
the small things?
And all the small things. I try to put the iPad away too because I don't want to leave that on stage. I just like put that away. Even if I leave the rest of the stuff out there, the iPad is one thing I'll grab first.
Yeah.
Because just get that away, have a few drinks, and then you can kind of do the rest of it. But that's like probably something that'll
I'll
walk
do that
away
with
pretty
my
easily.
in-ears
I imagine.
Right away, I'll just wrap them up.
Right.
Just
Right. And what about your packing out?
I love packing up at the end of a night, and cymbals, drums, house kits are nice because then I just have cymbals, kick, snare drum, that kind of thing. So it's super easy. I love Guitar Center rentals. Those are nice.
It depends on the rental. You're gonna get an export next.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. No offense to the Guitar Center rentals. It was probably our own fault for not checking. My
The clutch?
fault for not checking.
Or
No, Sam was on top of the clutch. He was like, "Yo, you need the clutch?" Yes, I need the clutch.
the
Good thing you
wing
brought
nut?
your tools.
Oh, yeah.
Literally,
I
would
always
not-
bring my tools with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, there were just some like wacky little issues with the hardware. Figured it out, but I needed some tools this guy had on
Always.
the trip.
Yeah. That's why he's the boss baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
But yeah,
Jason
no, fuck packing up, man.
J-
I
Jason-
fucking hate packing
Jason
up.
has the most shit to pack up. He rattled it off really quickly, but
It
yeah, he's
never
got
ends.
it's cymbals, and then it's each one of the stands, and then it's each one of the drums, and it's the pedals. So
Everything.
it's never
It's
end,
fucking.
never
Why
ending.
didn't I play the flute?
And he also now has enlisted the help of Kevin, who's just off screen.
Oh, I love Kevin.
But lately
I love you, dude.
lately I feel like Jason has kind of grinded through it. He's like I'm just gonna do it.
I feel bad. No.
So all it took was for him to feel bad making Kevin do it to make him do it. And of course Sam leaves at the perfect time that we're gonna wrap up here.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
I feel like this kid has the smallest bladder of anyone. He's always going pee in the middle of our podcast.
Better here than in the middle of a set.
Well, just wear a diaper like
Literally on
Steve
stage.
does.
Well, that's because he has like 4 beers
Were
here
you
now.
serious? You were wearing a diaper?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, Steve's always shitting, so he has to wear a diaper. So reviews. So I actually have a review I can do, but I'm wondering if anyone else has anything recently they've like a restaurant or a album or a concert or anything like that they've recently done.
So AviQ. I just tried it recently.
Yeah, what do you think?
Which, by the way, I could walk there from my place.
Oh, no way. So you live on that side of the street.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
And I saw it by accident. I was at Ohana,
Nice.
Hawaiian barbecue, and then I spotted AviQ across the street. Delicious.
Yeah, dude, it is. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah. We used to get all those pop-ups and there'd just be lines.
Yeah.
Like a Disneyland ride, dude. So it's good that he opened up his own spot.
Yeah, Randall's the foodie of the band for sure. If you ever need food suggestions, especially in LA or really anywhere, because he just has Yelp open all the time. He's your guy for sure. So I just saw Dune 2. Have any of you guys seen Dune?
I have
No.
not, so no spoilers.
Have you all seen Dune 1?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Dune 1
No.
either? Do you have
Not even the originals.
Do you have Max? Do you have Max?
Yeah. I
Like
think it's
HBO
through
Max or
Hulu.
whatever? It's
Yeah,
on there, so
I
check
think they
out.
Throw it on there.
Check it out.
bonus.
It's for free on HBO Max right now. But I watched Dune 1 again before I go in this past weekend to Dune 2. It was great, man. It was
Yeah?
awesome. You know what? I
heard
don't
it was
like
a
the
98 Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it was like one of the highest ever releases on
okay.
on Rotten Tomatoes. It's funny. I actually heard what Christopher Nolan was giving the director shit, saying it was like Empire Strikes Back. I got to read more into that, but I was like, that's kind of shitty for them to throw shade. But I'm also like curious to like what the comparisons are. Actually, fun. I find it funny when people find these comparisons in movies, and it's like,
Right.
you know, I think there's like a saying. There's only really 8 different stories to be told. It's just so you reskin them in certain ways. It's like
Kind of like music notes.
yeah, it's like exactly. It's like a script writing thing that people talk about. How was your pee?
It was great.
Kevin does a switcher as Sam comes back, and look, he's magically here now. It's so well done editing. So I was just talking about reviews and stuff. He just talked about AviQ. He went to a restaurant. I saw Dune 2. What I didn't like. So Randall, did you watch the original Dunes? Did anyone else here watch the original Dunes?
I couldn't follow along with it.
Anyone?
No, I didn't see the original.
So I watched the original ones, and like maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like they just had that. It was all one movie. Like I don't think there was multiple original Dunes, and that's what I'm annoyed with this, because there's like even a third one coming, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like tell the story in one movie already. I'm like, it's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, I want to be satisfied at the end of it, and they're like, wait for 2 more years now to see this. Like, God damn it, you know. But the CGI was awesome. The acting was fun. The action was cool. It is honestly, score was good.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the storyline is very interesting and weird about the whole plot. And I'm not giving anything away, but the whole spice thing and the
That's a spoiler, dude.
no, it's not.
You just talking vibe.
That's not a
The
spoiler.
spices in the first one.
It's in the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, don't talk about it.
It's all about saffron, dude.
Don't give away how
Right.
you liked it or didn't. Just
That's what a review is. I'm not going to give away plot lines, but
okay.
but yeah, it's a good film. I definitely recommend anyone going to see it for sure.
I definitely want
Any
to.
other reviews you want to do? Anyone else? Reviews of new things? We're gonna wrap up.
Oh, Zootopia, great kids movie.
What? There's a new one coming out this year.
I know, dude. Oh, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, and Moana 2 I think is coming out. Yeah, Randall and I are both parents, so we're all up and down on the new Thank God, just please some new animated film for me to watch, so I don't have to watch fucking Toy Story for the 100th millionth time. please, something would be nice. So the quote of the week. I honestly can't remember when this one happened either, but I just wrote it down. If you can't finish before checkout, that's on you. Do you remember who said that and why?
That was me.
What was the context? Remember?
Is that in Illinois?
Yeah, no, it was Carmel.
Yeah.
And
If you can't finish before checkout, that's on you.
Like something food or?
I don't remember.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but I always find these quotes just fucking funny out of context.
I don't remember why.
Is
It
that right?
was-
Because Jason was like an hour late, was it? Maybe
Nah, it wasn't about. I don't remember what it was. It was something about hospitality or something like that.
Anyway.
I can't remember.
Anyway,
You had the minivan at that point.
I was in the minivan. I
ooh,
remember.
that's why I didn't remember,
That's
because he
all
was
I was thinking
he was in
about.
through
That's all I
exactly.
was thinking
He was just thinking about the minivan. He couldn't think of anything else. It's like, oh, this thing drives like a dream.
Oh, he loves the minivan.
All right, so last question is a fan question, and it kind of ties into the last episode's question. Do you have a favorite celebrity, and have you ever met anyone famous? Let's start with Randall. Favorite celebrity first.
Probably Leonardo DiCaprio, because I love all the movies he does. And who have I met that's famous? I met Wayne Gretzky when I was young.
Nice. The great one.
Yes.
Very cool. Steve?
I don't really have favorite celebrities. I don't even really. I like. What's good? What's
Can be a business person too? A
uh,
rapper? Whatever. I guess we already talked about
We were
musicians.
talking about artists, so like, yeah, I like, my favorite celebrities, are typically musicians. Logic, Eminem, the guys from Every Time I Die. I've never met any of those guys. I've like hosted the big dude from Everybody Loves Raymond, Raymond's brother.
Oh, nice.
I met Kevin Hart at Olive Garden for a second.
At the Olive Garden.
Handed him a
That's
menu. I met the singer.
I handed him a menu.
I met the
Nice.
singer of Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin, and handed him of a demo. And yeah, fucking yeah.
My favorite celebrity is probably Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a funny actor, but he's also like a great businessman. He's got like a lot of business acumen. Like he owns like what or I think he just sold this, but a cellular network. He also like part owner of a
Mint.
soccer team.
Mint.
Yeah, Mint.
Mobile, that's right.
Like this guy's like just entrepreneur dude. I think even his Twitter or something, or I guess it's X now. Even that's just like it says like part-time actor, which is like it was just kind of funny because it's like he's known for acting, but he's like literally just.
He has that gin company too that blew up.
What's that?
Aviation.
Yeah, aviation. So that's another thing. I mean, again, he's across the board, just an entrepreneurial guy, but also I think his acting is super funny. I think Deadpool is one of the best Marvel films. Ever met anyone famous? I've met a few people famous. I mean, Randall and I used to live in Studio City. I mean, I remember Megan Fox was like eating next to me at Hugo's down there.
Oh,
I
nice
met
to-
Robert Pattinson at a movie premiere with JB. Who else? Yeah, but I mean, I actually this I guess it's more of a work situation, but I used to work with celebrities at one of my jobs. But I met Chris Evans. I filmed him. Angelina Jolie, filmed her as well. But it's not like I'm having deep conversations with them. I'm just like kind of like in the corner, like don't look at her in the eyes, Yeah, like Schmeagol again. All right, Sam, what about
In the
you?
darkness.
I don't really have a favorite celebrity at all. I've met a lot of famous people. One that comes to mind is like a good conversation. Someone who like actually gave a fuck. Shavo from System of a Down.
Nice.
Oh.
Had a really good conversation with him for like 15, 20 minutes. He's a good guy.
Nice. Jason,
I mean, I've met a lot of
favorite celebrity first.
favorite celebrity. That's hard. I mean, I like Paul Rudd. A lot of
He's
shit
funny,
that he's in. Yeah, just
You would like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
You're such a Paul Rudd.
You're
fan.
a Paul Rudd guy for sure.
I love Paul Rudd. Isn't he? He's cool, man.
Would.
He's cool. He's good. He's good. He's funny. He's comforting.
He is great.
Yeah.
I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, like a lot of his movies. But no, I met Kirk Hammett with Metallica. A couple times I bumped into him like randomly. Once was at San Francisco Airport.
Don't you hate that when you just bump into Metallica?
Yeah. No, I saw him walking down. He was with his wife or girlfriend. He walked down. They set their stuff down, and then he started walking back towards me because the bathroom was right over here. And all of a sudden, he was walking up. I was like, I gotta go say hi to him. I'm not usually like that, but I went up to him. I was like, hey, I'm sorry to bring attention to you. You're Kirk from Metallica, right? He's like, yeah, nice to meet you. He was so awesome, so kind. Thank God. But no, celebrity wise, so I was a pool guy for 7 years. I was Jessica Alba's pool man for 4 years.
Tell me you got the classic. Tell me you got the classic pool boy
Did you
treatment.
save some of her hair?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I just pulled it out from the filter.
Jesus, he made a hair doll.
Yeah, Steve came out with me once.
I don't
To
even
that
think
one,
I went
right?
into the
No?
property.
No?
I probably, if I did, I definitely did. No, it wasn't. That wasn't on your route that
He
day.
blacked out.
Okay.
No, that you were doing one of your like Hanover Park runs that day.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I probably met her a handful of times, but she was super
Sweet lady.
cool. Very sweet.
Nice.
Very sweet, yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's one of the benefits I think you get of living in LA. It's you.
Just a
All of a sudden
normal-
you're eating dinner across from Jack Nicholson or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, thanks for hanging around for episode 6, I guess, whatever that is, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.